If anyone join a little bit later, that is totally fine because me and Victor, we are going to introduce yourself first, so we have a little bit of time. My name is Ana Feltrin. I am from Brazil, but I work here at G2I. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the myths and truths about hiring. Your English is better than you think. So, this is for everyone who doesn't speak English as their first language. Or if you speak English and you want to understand how you can improve your communication skills on an interview, it is going to be a good fit this call as well. So here at G2I, we work as a recruitment consultancy and we have clients all over the globe. And we work specifically with engineering opportunities. So we hire people to work fully remote with our clients. And we also have a community of developers. So everyone who has been a part of G2I's recruitment process and done a technical interview with us, we invite them to be a part of this community where we have calls, we have mentorships, we have happy hours, and we also share first-hand opportunities to help you find the best job for your career path. And today we invited Victor from DevSpeak to help us to talk a little bit about what is the English the abroad companies are looking for, how to improve your communication, and how to do well on an interview. So Victor is going to introduce himself now. So please, Victor, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Anna, for the introduction. My name is Victor. I am also from Brazil, from Curitiba, but today I live here in Amsterdam. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But I've also worked like in Dubai, lived there for a couple of years, worked remotely for some companies in the Silicon Valley. So yeah, I have a lot of experience with working remotely, and that's where like this presentation comes from. And also the founder of DevSpeak Academy, that today is the biggest English school in Brazil, focused specifically for software engineers and tech people. And I'm going to be here sharing a bit of this experience that we have there with our students, that our teachers always bring to us, and from the success cases that we see there. Yeah, so let me start sharing my screen with you. Let me pick this one and then click here in share and then start presenting it. So yes, the topic of today is myths and truths about hiring. Your English is better than you think. So again, a little bit about myself. I'm the founder of DevSpeak Academy, that today is the biggest English school focused in software engineers and tech people. I have around 16 years of experience in the market and work like internationally for companies like in California, Dubai, and today I'm based here in Amsterdam. So let's start from the beginning. A lot of people are afraid of failing interviews and these things, but truth to be told, you didn't really fail the interview. Sometimes you are going to lose the interview in the first 30 seconds because most of the rejections happen even before the technical evaluation. And that's why like the recruiters have the screening interviews, like to assess like the skills of the candidates, but also to assess risk and to make that quick call, the quick decision, if it's worth like to put like that particular candidate in front of the recruiter or not. But don't worry, I'm going to tell you exactly how to avoid that. So again, as I said, like recruiters, especially in the first stage of the interviews, they are going to decide risk, not skill, at least in the early stages. Obviously, later on, you are going to have more technical steps in the evaluation and in the hiring process. But most of the people that fail, like in the screening interviews and the first one, they don't fail because of skill. Like, and most of you already have like pretty good skill and a lot of experience. So communication does not mean like English perfection. That's one of the biggest obstacles that I see tech people to have, especially like in the Brazilian audience, that is the people that I talk most with. And they think that to be able to communicate in English, they need to have a perfect English. They need to have like a British or American accent. And that's not true at all. Like communication is signal of collaboration. It's trying like to understand what the other people say and to be able to achieve a common goal, even if like you have like some small like problems here and there, you need to ask the person to repeat, like that's completely normal. So that's something that I see a lot with like non-native speakers. I see that along with Brazilians and also other nationalities. But today here, like we are our Brazilians, if our friends from Argentina that are attending and the other people, what I see is like normally people who are non-native speakers, like but work with software engineer for a couple of years, like 1, 2, 3, or even more years, and also in the other roles. Normally, we do have like a really high sense of autonomy and ownership mindset. What does that mean? Like and a lot of times like we're not going to get stuck in the first obstacle that appears. A lot of times like we're going to try to figure out the solution, even if it's like something that's not trivial and require like inquiring on other people and other stakeholders and also debugging. And that's a big plus, and a lot of companies are looking for that. Like a lot of companies want people with this profile. But we need to keep in mind that communication is not documentation reading, it's not just reading, it's a bit more than that. And the most common thing that we see like in DevSpeak Academy is people who say like, okay, I can learn, I can hear and understand and I can read, but I cannot talk. And most of the times they cannot talk is not really because of the lack of vocabulary or something like that. It's more because, again, as I said in the previous slide, you want like to speak perfectly, and that's not true. Like when we speak in our native language, like mine, for example, is Portuguese, I can do a lot of mistakes like in Portuguese, but when I talk to other people understand what I'm saying, like even with that mistakes, because like yeah, when we talk the day-to-day language, like we are not like talking exactly like the grammar books are. And yeah, that's the main thing. Like the companies, they are looking for technical people who are technically capable of solving the problems, not like for English teachers. Obviously, like there's some variation of degrees to that, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So first thing, what kills your chances before the interview starts? What is not going to look good for the interviewer? Remember, the interviewer like is trying to understand if you are a risk or not, if he can put you in front of the client or not. And it doesn't matter if like it's like an external like recruiting company, or like if it's internal to the company. They always have clients, either external or internal, and have goals to meet, and they cannot simply put a lot of candidates. Like they need like to do some assessment before. So long pauses is something that's not going to look good, because it might mean that probably meetings are going to be like too painful, like to go with, or that your like level of English is really too basic. Over apologizing is something that also I see a lot. Like a lot of people, and people with really good English sometimes, like they say that, oh, sorry, my English is bad. Remember, in the end of the day, we are humans, and we have biases. So sometimes if you frame something under a certain light, that's what the interviewer or the recruiter is going to see. So never start saying like with sorry, my English is bad, or sorry, or something like that. That's not exactly your job. That's the job of the interviewer to decide. I see with a lot of our students and a lot of people in tech, sometimes we say no to ourselves, but that's not our job. Like our job is to show the best that we can do, like to try to show our best English, to try to show our best technical skills. And the recruiter is the one that's going to decide if we are good enough or not. So don't start apologizing. That's going to hurt your chances, and a red put you under a bad light. Again, over explaining details without structure, if you just throw ideas and cannot connect, then that also is going to make like the conversation difficult to understand, and it's going to make things confuse. So that's something like that's bad. And giving too direct answers, like just yes, no, like and not asking anything, not trying to clarify, and answering things that sometimes you don't even understand properly, that's definitely going to kill your chances. And here we're talking obviously about the language side, but I can talk a little bit more about the other details also that the recruiters normally look. And yeah, you're going to have space also to make questions. When you are in front of a recruiter, what they are really listening for. So what happens like that? You manage to get in front of the recruiter. You manage to talk to the recruiter, like, and here, like, again, you're in excellent hands, like with G2I, because they're already like going to save a lot of work that normally you'd have like to go and gather the positions and these things. So you manage to be there in front of the recruiter and talk to him or to her. The first thing that we need always to know is like that the recruiter have goals to reach. So, and the recruiter cannot talk to every single candidate. So if the recruiter choose to speak with you and he choose like to have this interview with you, it's because in his or her mind, you are already like the right candidate, at least on paper. At least on paper, you look good. So if like on paper, like you look good, why are the recruiter, why do they even need to talk like to you? Well, to give you an opportunity to prove that they are wrong, that no, there's something wrong about this candidate. And yeah, let's give him the opportunity to show that. And what's your job? Your job is just to show that to the recruiter that indeed you are, he or she is right to be talking to you. So what they are going to be looking for is if they can trust like you, like to put you in front of a client, because again, like their reputation are on stake, and they need to send good candidates. Are you able to explain a decision? Are you able like to communicate the basics? And here, like, we're not talking about making like super structured discourse or something like that. No, it's just being able to explain, even if like sometimes you need a bit more time, even if sometimes you don't understand what the other person is saying, and ask this person to repeat. Even like in our native language, that happens sometimes. Sometimes people say things that you don't really understand, and what you do, you just ask, okay, could you come again? And also, like, if you are able to handle ambiguity, like if you're not going to be saying one thing and they are going to be understanding others, that's from the communication point of view. But also from the career point of view, there's some stuff that the recruiters are going to be looking for. The very first thing that they are going to be looking for is if the skills that you put in your CV match the story that you are going to tell them, like during this step. Again, here they're not going to be deeply assessing your skills, but if they are hiring for a Node.js position and you put in your CV that you have like a Node.js position, they want to hear that you work with Node.js position, Node.js like in your day-to-day activities. So if like your CV is aligned with your skills, you're already good here. The other thing like that they always look is if you are going to be able to work like with other people, because we don't work in a vacuum like in engineering. We need to work with other people. So a question that the interviewers and the recruiters are almost always going to ask you in some point is, can you give me an example of a conflict that you had like in your previous position, and how did you handle it? And the more you work, like the more probable is like you are going to have some conflict. Sometimes they are small things, like you want to go through the path A and the other person wants to go through the path B, or things like that. So a question like, no, I never had a conflict or something, is going to sound suspicious. So I always try to find something, but something that puts you under a good light, something that first is light, is not too heavy, and something that show a good outcome, something that you like You had like this difference of view with other person. You managed to solve the problem, and you figure out like a good outcome. I'm going to give an example that I always give in my interviews. Like a couple of years ago, we had like a case where we had multiple servers, and the sessions, they were sticky sessions. What means that once you're assigned to a server, you are always going to land on the same server. That was a problem because of reasons, and we need to be able to make the users like to go to any of our servers. So somehow we need like to externalize the session. The session could not be in our server anymore. There are two paths. One path, like someone suggested, to store the sessions in database, and in the other case, they suggested to use Redis as a cache, like so. Yeah, we could like put that and externalize. And I had this idea that Redis was best, and the other person had this idea that database were best, like, and we were kind of stuck on that. How did we solve the problem? Okay, let's do a small experiment, collect data, and then see like what are your concerns, what are my concerns, and figure out like a good outcome. In the end, like it really, the data showed that Reds was a good solution, but the good thing like was that we took a data-driven decision. So see here, like we had the conflict, we had like the way that it was handled, and we had the outcome. So that's another thing that they always look. And the first and the last thing is like that, yes, you really see this as a career. Like, so if like the recruiter asks you, what do you see yourself, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now, or something like that? Yeah, obviously, like they don't want to hear like answers like, yeah, in 5 years, I see myself retired, or I see myself like in a folk or pop music band or something like that. Yeah, they want to understand that you want to stay like long in the career, not necessarily like yeah, forever in the company, but at least that you see this career as something serious. And yeah, that's something that we always train this interview process and these things with our students at DevSpeak Academy. Again, like I cannot emphasize this enough, because I see a lot of good people who have like amazing skills and they have good enough English, and the keyword here is good enough. Not applying for positions abroad because they think that they need to have like a perfect English, and or they have this paralyzing fear that make them like not apply because, yeah, for some reason they think that the English is not good enough. Again, I like have 16 years of experience, out of which I think that the last 10 or 11 years was working like for companies abroad. Today I work here in Amsterdam and work like for a big tech company here, like with people from all around the world, worked in Dubai, worked like remotely for US companies, remotely for some German companies, and also for some Australia companies, and worked with people from a lot of different backgrounds. So accent is not the problem. You guys can see that my accent is not like a British accent or a Native American speaker accent. It's very clear that my accent is a Brazilian accent, because in some parts, like my accent is a bit even stronger than it should be, but it's noticeable. But that never stopped me from getting the position. So accent is not the problem. Grammar mistakes is not the problem also, because you see that I do a lot of grammar mistakes, like when I'm talking to you here, and you guys can understand me. And the same grammar mistakes that I do here, I do like in the companies that I work when I'm talking. And well, here like a good parenthesis, like just in DevSpeak Academy, we have like a professional English teachers, so don't worry. They're like, if like you guys are interested or anything, they're like, yeah, you have proper English that are not going to have accent problems, neither like grammar problems. But I'm just giving this example because that never stopped me from getting the position. The problem is lack of clarity. And what do I mean by lack of clarity? Is the inability to communicate. The inability to communicate, again, is not speaking perfect English, but it's not the capacity, is the lack of the capacity of articulating the ideas and asking like for clarification, and asking people like to repeat or to explain another way what you don't understand. And another problem that I see is that some people, they are so fearful that not having a perfect English is going to hurt their opportunities that they don't even apply. So what I say is, don't do this mistake. If you never applied to a position, like try one or two just to see how you go, and let like the recruiter tell you like, okay, what's your level of English, if it's good enough, if it's not good enough. The recruiters, they do understand that the assessment that they are doing during the interviews is something on that moment of the time, and like your skills, they are going to evolve with time. So normally they are going to say, if they see that your English is not good enough, they're going to tell you, and they're going to say, okay, like let's try again in 6 months or something like that. But most of the times, like it might have happen that your English is good enough, like yeah, you are going to get the position. And see, again, I'm the founder of an English school for software developers. So it's not in my best interest to say that, yes, like you don't need perfect English. No, I should be saying the opposite. No, your English need to be perfect. You need, but that's simply not the truth. You just need like good enough English to go and pass the interviews. Okay. There are some like exceptions for that, but B2, like an upper B1, like if you're really good with B1, or ideally a B2, is good enough for most roles. The few exceptions are cases on which like more senior like positions, like I don't know, you are a staff engineer or a tech lead or an engineering manager or something that is going to demand you that you talk to a lot of stakeholders and you need to defend your ideas with clarity. But for most technical positions like yeah, software engineer and things like that, having like an English that is enough for you to understand what are the tasks, ask clarification, and do the technical stuff is more than enough. Because again, the companies, they want technical people to solve technical problems, not English teachers, okay? And here, like the $1,000,000 question, like that I see a lot of people asking, is the market saturated? Like, is there positions? Like, is AI like going to steal our jobs or things like that? So first of all, if you speak well, like the market is not saturated. If you can communicate, the market is not saturated because there are too many applicants, too few communicators. So being able to talk like is not the same as being able to effectively communicate. Like when you communicate, you need to be able to articulate ideas from a point A to a point B and have a clear intent and goal in mind. That's something very important. But that apart, like let me really answer this question like with some numbers, okay? So just right before this presentation, like I went to LinkedIn and took this screenshot, and I did a search like for United States Java developer, because yeah, that's my stack. Like, and we have more than 240,000 like positions open right now. A lot of these positions are remote, so as you can see, there's lots and lots of positions. But again, you are in very good hands here because, well, the G2I people like are already going to do the hard part of the work, that's sourcing these positions and giving like them to you. So with this like in mind, you're in very good hands, and more than half of the battle is already done, like done here. Another thing that happens that like the companies struggle a lot with people that are able to handle async communication, explain clearly the trade-offs, and client-facing engineers, people who can communicate to other people, not only like to technical people, and even in native language that that happens, you know. So you need to be able like to speak to other people, like that's something like that helps a lot. So if like you have the speaking skills, you are already like in front of more than 20% of the in the 20%, oh sorry, 20% of like I'm sorry, you are in the top 20%. And yeah, that's it about the market, I think. So and again, like just to put like again, you see like here, like in one last thing about the LinkedIn, I went to go off for a few days and didn't open like my LinkedIn, and I opened today to take like this screenshot, so that might be like 2 weeks or something. I have 14 messages, like most from recruiters wanting to talk and to chat. So if you know how to position yourself, you don't even need like to go and chase the positions. Another thing that's very common for people to ask, like, is about the diploma. Like, but do I need to have a degree to work abroad? Like, is that mandatory? And the truth is that, and again, I say that not only based on my experience, but also with the experience of like having helped like more than 1,793 students in the DevSpeak Academy to like speak with confidence and helping them during the process and talk to them like your experience is bigger than your academic background. Like there's a lot of people that I know that not necessarily have an academic degree. Even in the big tech that I work, like in my team, there are people who don't have an academic degree and they are here because they have clear experience. So companies care about what you build, the size of what you build, the impact that that it causes, like the scale, the trade-offs you made. And that's what's going to count. Because when companies hire, they want to basically minimize the risks. And for a company, like the best way of minimizing the risk is if they are going to hire to a position, they want to see people who already did that in that given position. So if you have like a good experience, you are like in a very good path. Like, so I would say that if you have like at least 2.5 years to 3 years of experience, you already have a very desirable profile for experience abroad. Especially when it comes like to work remotely. When it comes to work remotely, then there's no obstacle at all. It's just up to the company if they want or not. But again, companies, they want experience. They want proof that you know what they need. If you want to immigrate, like if you want to change countries, then it depends where you're going. So for example, if you want to go to the US, first you need a company to sponsor your visa there. And there's like the H-1B lottery. And there's another ways to get the visa, but yeah, that might help a bit. Some countries, for example, when I worked in Dubai, for Dubai, yes, you needed like a diploma. But here, like for the European Union, like most of the countries, they don't care about that, and it's not something that's mandatory. Like it's just the company need to be able to sponsor your visa. So again, the experience like tackles like everything. Is it safe to work remotely? A lot of people ask that, like, because yes, in my country we have like strong labor laws and this and that, like, but yeah, like let me speak a little bit about like something that's specific in Brazil. For example, in Brazil we have the CLT, but in other countries also there's some kind of like of laws that regulate that. But the first thing that you need to know is like what really makes like your job safe is not necessarily like these things, but is if you are delivering or not. You can have like all the laws like the world defending you, but if you are not delivering, stop delivering by 6 months and see what happens. Like there's no law that's going to keep you in your position. On the other hand, like if like let's imagine that you live in like a place that there's nothing about that, but you always consistently deliver, you generate value to the company, you have impact, the company will always want to have you there. That being said, most of the companies, the vast majority, like, and I'm going to show like how you can identify some red flags. But again, here like G2I, red help you with that because they only work with serious companies. And so, yeah, it's not something that you need to worry. It's also always good to know like how to see these red flags in companies. So the most common like models are a contractor, like or like having a payroll intermediate. And there are some other modalities, but that are the most common ones. And what like you really need to watch, like if you are doing the search by yourself and you want to see if it's a red flag or not. Like first, if like there's no written offer, like that's a red flag. And another thing like to keep in mind is that going to an interview and going to like the hiring process is different from having an offer. The offer is something that comes in the last stage of the interview, and you receive that, and then it's just the ball is in your court. Like it's up to you to say yes or no. Um, and then like if the company doesn't like give you clear payment terms, how that's going to work, what you are going to receive, when you're going to receive, or like if they say something, yeah, let's have some trial months or something like that, without contract, without anything, like pay attention to that. But again, if you're relying in a strong company like G2I, they're going to help you with that. So before of going there, like if like you people are, oh sorry, this one is in Portuguese. I forgot like to change it. But if you want like to understand a bit more what DevSpeak Academy is and how we can help you like to communicate like with confidence, to practice for the interview process and these things, here are some links like about it. After like this presentation, the G2I team is also going to share on Slack with you. But here there's like the link like to know it, and there's a special offer like for G2I members. So if you are a G2I member, here there's the link, but also you can tell us that you came from the G2I presentation, and I will have like a very special condition for you. And that being said, I think that's time for the Q&A, and yeah, maybe Anna can help a bit with that, and I'm going to stop sharing.
Nice, nice, Victor. Thank you very much for your presentation. We do have a few questions, and the first question I see here on the Q&A is how does a recruiter or a teacher access the English proficiency?
Yeah, the most important thing to have in mind here is that when the recruiter, like talking specifically about recruitment, the recruiter is not really interested like in like yeah, knowing like to what degree you really know English or something like that. So what he's going to see is if you are able to communicate, like if like he can understand what you're saying. If like you cannot move the conversation like in any way, like if that's too like strict, like it's too like hard to do that, then yes, like it's not going to work. Because remember, in the end of the day, their goal is to find technical people to solve technical problems, not English teachers. So that's the most important thing.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah. As a recruiter myself, I totally agree with you. I don't ever ask, what is your English level? How many years of English did you study or anything like that? I try to understand how they communicate. And to make it easier for you to search for abroad opportunities, it is very important for you to have your English skills on your LinkedIn. So there is a part on your LinkedIn that you can update your fluency and which language do you speak. So you probably have the Portuguese or English already, but keeping that updated if it is a native speaker, if it is for work, it is very important. So the recruiters can filter that and understand that you are able to communicate in English. Perfect, perfect. Next question. How do you recommend handling moments when you forget a word in English or get stuck or kind of like a mental block mid sentence,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, that's something like really interesting. Like I think that my biggest like tip here like is don't think about English as this alien thing. Like you do this in the same way that you do in your native English, oh sorry, in your native language. A lot of times like you're talking to people and you forget an word, and yeah, to move the conversation in your native language, you're not going to be like 2 hours trying to remember that. You just explain the same idea in another way, like okay, let me see what to do if there's another way or something easier. The same thing goes to English. Like lots of times you're going to forget some words, and that's going to be a bit more common than your native language. And in this case, like if you are conducting the conversation, just try to explain another way. And if someone said something that you didn't understand, you do the same thing that you do in your native language. You just ask, okay, could you please like explain another way, like, or something like that?
That is perfect. That is perfect. And we do get stuck in Portuguese in our
Yeah.
own native language. Sometimes we do forget any specific word that we want to use. So it is the same for English. You can totally say, sorry, I forgot the word that I want to use, or try to explain in a different way. And that happens even to me as a recruiter in an interview. Sometimes I do forget any specific word that I want to use. So I try to go around. What other way can I express myself? Nice. So when you have a good English, but you feel nervous speaking with other people, do you have any tips to control that anxiety and avoid stuttering?
Yeah, that's something that is very common. That's why I recommend trying to go to some mock interviews first. So yeah, like again, DevSpeak can help with that. But if you don't want to go there, go to ChatGPT, ask it like to generate some questions like for you, or even use the voice mode and try to simulate that before going to the real thing. Because when you go to the real thing, there's like this human factor that's going to make you nervous, especially if it's your first time. So if you already tried that before, that's something that's going to be easier. And unfortunately, there's not much magic to this, like practice. Like the more you expose yourself to that, the more like comfortable you're going to feel with.
Yes, I feel like every recruitment process, it is going to be a little bit of a nerve-wracking. You are going to be nervous because it's something that you wish to do good. You want to show your abilities, you want to show your skills. And if you add a different language to that, it's going to be a little bit more nerve-wracking. So I totally agree, Victor. Practice. You need to practice. I feel like DevSpeak is here for that, but you have many other tools as well that you can use. And here at G2I, if you do an interview and for any reason you do not pass on your English skills, you're going to be sure that the recruiters are going to give you feedback. They're going to help you understand what is missing, what you need to improve, and also direct you to DevSpeak so you can take classes, you can communicate, you can do mock interviews. So, do you have any tips for resume or an example of a good resume in English?
Uh, for resume specifically, not that much, but there's something that I always like to say about the LinkedIn. Like, well, I have a bit for resume, but sometimes it comes from the LinkedIn. Like, try always like to have like well, maybe I can quickly share to show like this like very quickly maybe. Okay, let
Yes,
me
absolutely.
very, yeah, let me very quickly open here and I can give this example here. So I'm going to click here and then I'm going to click on share here and then I'm sharing my LinkedIn. In the end of the day, LinkedIn like is a search tool. Like it helps like to connect the candidates and the recruiters. And yeah, there's a lot of people posting a lot of stuff and using it with other intentions. But if like it cannot do this well, like nothing is going to work. So there's a couple of things that you can do like to be a bit better position like in the LinkedIn. The first thing is like just go and update your profile. If you do anything that's a strong signal to LinkedIn that you are looking for positions, it's going to put you upper. But the biggest like advice that I have like for people in tech is don't focus only on the technical side, but also in the impacts that you generated, like in the positions that you are. Not only like in what you know, but what do you do with what you know, and in which extent. So here, for example, for every like position, like if it's LinkedIn, try to put 3 to 5 like examples of impacts that you had. If it's your CV, try to put 3, like to not be too extensive. And if you have like 20 like examples to give, focusing the 3 or 5 most like iconic one. Like Napoleon, for example, was like a big conqueror like in Europe, and we can only remember him for 2 or 3 things. So if he like has 2 or 3 things that we remember, don't worry. Like in our case, like you don't need to put out the 20. And yeah, and for the CV, the same thing. Like if you have like a good LinkedIn, you are going to have like a good CV because it's a matter of like transposing that information.
Perfect. And your LinkedIn is not going to show all your skills. Your LinkedIn is there to get the recruiters, the company's attention. So you must show your skills, but you don't need to write a book in every
Yeah.
single of your experiences. You need to use the correct words, how to make it pops. We do have another live that we talked about LinkedIn and CV, and I can also share that here in the channel. And if you're interested, you can also watch that live as well, or even ask me questions to help you improve your LinkedIn. So, next question from Ethan. Do you think some companies use communication skills as a convenient excuse for bias?
I don't think that for bias, but yes, but sometimes communication skills is a bit of like something that is a bit easier to explain why the person was rejected. As someone who is in hiring myself, because yeah, involved like with hiring like for in DevSpeak Academy for the teachers, for the sales team, for everyone. Sometimes it's a bit hard to explain exactly why you're not moving ahead with that person, because sometimes that feedback might be a bit too blunt, or sometimes like you wanted to give like a nice feedback and wrap it, but yeah, there's like life gets in the way, and these things happens. And we also need to remember that in some countries, like the recruitment process is heavily regulated, so depending on what they say or not, they can be sued. So sometimes it's just easier to say like to give like something vague, like yeah.
Mhm. Perfect, perfect. I do not know about bias, but it is exactly what Victor said. Some companies, they want some kind of specific communication that is not related to um, accents, related to English level or anything like that. It is more related to how they communicate, the culture of the company. So I would not call bias, but I understand your questions. So, do you have any tips for dealing with people who have difficult to understand different accents?
Yes, I have some tips for that. First, the first thing is record yourself speaking and then watch yourself speaking. That's going to help you a lot, like to see how you are speaking. Oh, wait, I think that I'm giving that from from the other like side, from the side of who is speaking and the person listening doesn't understand. Don't worry, I'm going to give like from the two perspectives. The first thing like is that if like you are speaking and someone doesn't understand, try to record yourself and watch it, and then you are going to be able to see what you need to improve. But if you are the one who have like difficulty to get the accent, the first thing like is try to have like your environment control. So that's going to make it easier. So whenever I have an important call, like I now is sure like that I'm going to be in a quiet room. I use like a good headphone, and that's going to help like me to understand better, even if the person has a bad accent. And the second thing is try to expose yourself more to that accent. So yeah, a lot of people like have a struggle a bit with the Indian accent. So go to YouTube and watch like videos of Indian people like explaining some subjects or some topics, like because the more like you hear to that, the more familiar is going to get to you.
Yes, and you can also ask that person to repeat, say in another way, talk a little bit slower. You can say those things and being polite. You're trying to better understand that person. Um, how do you handle small talk at the beginning of the meeting when you're feeling nervous about your English?
Yeah, that's something like that is always hard. So again, the tip here like is to practice just a bit, like about one subject or other. Like there's common things like that people are going to talk about. Like no one is going to come and start a small talk in the beginning of interview talking about their passion about Japanese katanas. Like no, that's something like too odd. Normally, people are going to talk about the weather, ask what you did on your weekend or this thing. So you can try to practice a bit, like again with ChatGPT or with like Google. Have I think that they have a new tool like that you can practice also like this kind of things. So you know how to handle like these common subjects, and you can even ask to these tools, okay, give them like a common list of like a small talk. But normally is this: they are going to ask about your weather, how was your weekend, or yeah, I think that covers already a lot. So again, once you come to that, you have something under your sleeve that you can use, and yeah, I think that that's it.
Perfect, perfect. If you had to give just one communication rule for international interviews, what would it be?
Don't overtalk. Brazilians have this tendency to talk too much, like, and to explain too much in detail, and that's common for us. But it's not in every culture. So it's not something that, okay, you are going just to say yes or no, but go straight to the point where you want to reach. Don't like, if for example, if someone asks, oh, could you tell me a little bit about yourself? It's about your technical background, have something in mind. Don't start with, okay, like in the year of 1933, like my parents immigrated from Poland to Brazil. No, like go straight to the point. Like,
Perfect. I totally agree. Pay attention to the question and if you're actually answering what the recruiter is asking and not just navigating through everything. And a question from João. How different is real English to the developer's English?
um, I think that in the end of the day, like English is English. Like so, like if you communicate in English, like you're going to be able to work like as a software developer, but you also are going to be able to go to the supermarket and these things. And we have kind of an advantage that it doesn't matter what's your native language. Most of the terms in the software engineering they are read in English. So like they're not going to change that much. Like. So even like the daily meetings, like in Portuguese, a lot of companies we call it daily meetings, like or things like that. Uh, so I would say that it's not something like that different. It's more about the context, like like so it's not like in DevSpeak we have like okay this magic English for that. Yeah, it's just that our four classes are in the context of software like engineering. So instead of talking about what did you do in your picnic yesterday, like you tell like okay what tasks did you work yesterday, but you see like the structure is kind of the same.
That's perfect. I totally agree. I totally agree. I feel like for developers, explaining projects, challenge, their work in general, it is a lot easier because it is already the same terms that we use in Brazil specifically because we are from here. But okay, so you mentioned that the market feels saturated. What actually makes a candidate stand out right now?
I think that the showing that's interesting because a lot of people are going to think, oh, having super high technical skills or like no, it's actually being able like well, technical skills are a must. Like if you don't have them, like yeah, but it's not what is really going to make you shine. Like first, like you need some experience, but the ability to communicate that you are the right person that's going to solve that problem, like is something that is going to make you stand out. So you really need to have in mind, okay, what is this company looking for? What do they really want? In the end of the day, like a software developer is like a nail in the wall. Like no one wants a nail in the wall. People want to hang like a picture there remember of a travel that they did. The same thing is with software engineers. No one wants a software engineer. They want a problem solved. So what kind of problem I'm going to solve, and how can I demonstrate that I'm the right person to solve this problem? So today, like the communication is really a game changer, like when it comes like to interviews.
That's
Because yeah,
perfect.
oh sorry, yeah, just
No, no, go
like to
ahead.
finish, because yeah, again, like the market is not saturated in the sense that yeah, but it's harder than it was like a couple of years ago. So yeah, so
Yes.
that's going to be something that's going to help.
Yes, yes. You need to get your foot through the door. If
Yeah.
you did, if you pass the first steps, you show your technical abilities, it is going to come to how good you are able to communicate with your team and understand how to fix problems. That's exactly what Victor says. Sometimes you're not the most skilled developer, but you understand problems and you know how to fix them. You understand what you have to do to work around problems. So, last question from Diego. He actually shared that here on the chat. How can I correctly answer the question, why do you want to leave your current job or current company without being dishonest with my answer? That's a great
Yeah.
question.
Well, the first thing that, as a rule of thumb, never bad talk about your current company. That's never going to sound well. And if from side like you don't like your current company, like that's one side of the coin, but the other side is because you are also looking for better opportunities. So frame that in that way, like especially for people applying for remote positions or positions abroad, like something like yes, I'm looking for like new opportunities. I want to work like with international teams to broaden my scope. I'm looking for new technical challenges. I want to try like new technologies or something like that. So always frame like through this side. On this sense, sometimes it's about the money, but I think that's not really good to say, oh, I want more money. So, well, if we're going to get more money, that means that probably like you are going to have more like scope, you are going to have more responsibilities. So that's another way of framing it. I'm looking for like to expand my scope, to have like bigger responsibilities. I feel that I'm already operating on the next level. And yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, you can be honest, but you don't have to be brutally honest.
Yeah.
You don't need to say, "Oh my God, I hate my boss. That's why I'm looking for a new job." But you can say, "I'm not aligned with the company's cultural fit anymore. That's why I'm looking for a place that I can match better," or things like that. But okay, everyone, we answered all the questions. If you still have any questions, please send it very quick here on the Q&A. Uh, but we have 3 more minutes. Victor, would you like to finish everything, do a final recap?
Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. And so the biggest takeaway here is don't be afraid like of your English. Go and try it, because a lot of people say I'm not good enough without even trying. Try, get some real feedback, like test like the others. And if you feel that you need help, like, wow, DevSpeak is always here to help you.
Perfect. That's great, Victor. Um, Tia from G2I, she shared a job posting. If you're interested in being a part of G2I's community, you can just send your CV, your LinkedIn over there, and we can help you through that process. And I really appreciate everyone here. And that's it. If you want to reach me out on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn is Ana Carolina Feltrin. I'm going to share it here. But till next one. Thank you very much, Victor.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone. Thank you very much.